Welcome to Dad Still Here podcast. I'm Reese and Luke's dad.
I'm Michael's dad.
Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good today. Hot.
It's
I'm
it's
cranky
brutal out
cranky.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nonstop. How hot it is. Air conditioner's just chugging.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to be inside doing this.
I can only imagine. Better beats cutting the grass or anything like that.
It does. Amen. Amen. How was your week?
Yeah, it's going, man. You know how it is. It's overwhelming to kind of hear, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Overwhelming to hear text messages or comments from people who've watched, people who've listened, people who have paid attention.
Yeah.
Um, it's really, really overwhelming. So anybody reach out to you or anything, it's been a week since we last recorded. Anything like stick out in the past week or anything?
A couple people, it's nice to hear. It wasn't just, I listened to the first one. It's I listened last week again. That made me feel good. Got a nice text from a coworker today, a good friend of Chris and I. She sent me picture of some blue jays out at the bird feeder to send on over to you guys that were all out at her house because she had just listened to you talk about the blue jays being out there. So that was nice to see. So, how about you? Anything specific?
Shout out to your coworker. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like you go through such a shitty scenario, and I don't know. I don't know about you, but like I kind of felt like I was like blocking out the world. And now it's like, to hear that somebody I don't know listened to this podcast who's not a dad, but listens because, you and Chris probably mean a lot to her. Um, and then took something that I said and had the time to share that. Yeah, I mean, I was when you told me earlier, I was a little overwhelmed, a lot overwhelmed. I mean, just the kindness and that. Yeah, I mean, a handful of text messages really that like kind of they set you back almost. Like as you and I said, like we're idiots. We are not smart people, and we're not right. But I think because we're doing this for Michael and Reese and Luke, like it's turning into something. I know it's good for me, and I think it's good for you. But I feel like it's been good
Absolutely.
for other people. And I mean, to hear, I had someone tell me today. I mean, shout out Sean. It helps you understand. We didn't go through this, but it helps us understand. I mean, and that was never an intention. Me and you never talked about that.
Yeah, that
But it
was a
made
like a kind of surprise eye opener. Like, oh,
yeah,
that was big.
yeah, and it's huge. I mean, you said it in the last episode. Like, you think you can do it on your own, but you need more. And for a while, you don't want to put it out there. You don't want to let other people in and see how much this really sucks. And to hear him say that, was nice. So really appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, we're trying. So if you or there's a dad in your life who's lost, please feel free share this with them. Hopefully they watch it whenever they're ready. Um,
Yeah.
Episodes 1 and 2 and 3 are already out, and we are now here at episode 4. And I know we have some exciting things planned for the future episodes.
Yep.
But with that, I think we can get into episode 4. Um, Probably going to be, I'd already told Mike when we were pre-planning this, going to be tough for me because I have, some unique feelings. And I think episode 4 is being a dad when your child isn't here. And I think really offers, Mike, you said it in episode 1 was we share a lot of similarities, and we do have some differences. And so you have a unique perspective, and I have a unique perspective. And I think there's a lot of dads out there that have both of those perspectives. So, any thoughts initially on the title or on the episode? You
Yeah.
know,
Like you said, the more we talk to people, other dads and stuff like that, you learn about different perspectives, you know, different family situations, all sorts of variables that can kind of have a different this can have a different impact on, based on those variables. So there's a lot of different things that, may cross my mind and might not cross yours, and there's things that you're gonna think about that, aren't for me. So I think this is where we'll get a little multifaceted with the different views.
Yeah, and I think again, we've said this before. We're going to try and be as open and honest as we can. Um, it's kind of a difficult thing because you get so uncomfortable. So um, we really look forward to it. And thanks for listening. First question. Um, being a dad when your child isn't here, you still think of yourself as a dad?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, it's such a different way. When you're trying to think of yourself as a dad now, with losing them, struggle sometimes because as a dad, the one thing you want to do is protect them. Kind of hurts that you didn't. Um, Being a dad while he's not here, big thing I try and do every day is like make time to just think about him. Just like you guys we're super busy all the time and on the run, and making sure I get to the cemetery with him, make sure I listen to a couple of his songs every day, things like that. Um, but for you, my guy, what's being a dad like when your child isn't here?
It's this one's tough for me because Reese and Luke are our first, um, so we don't have any living children. I know I'm a dad. My wife knows I'm a dad. My friends and family know I'm a dad, but it's tough. They're not here, and they never were. They were here, um, but they were never physically here. So I don't know what it's like. You mentioned it. Your urge to protect, and you feel like you're a failure at that. Um, you're that plays like a piece into this. Um, because maybe I could have done something different. Maybe I could have. Maybe I don't know. I do know there's nothing I could have done. Um,
Nothing.
but you but you beat yourself up over that. Um, Not having my two boys here is the most difficult thing in the world. Um, and I live for my routines, um, my moments with them. Whether it's praying with their prayer card or going outside and looking at the stars. That is my, deepest connection with Reese and Luke on a daily basis. And I look forward to those moments when I wake up and before I go to bed. But I don't have tangible, like I don't have my voice here. So it's really a difficult thing to like process. Like when you hear people say like, "Oh, you're a dad," and it's like, "Yeah, I am." Um, I'd say the people that like know, you know, uh, they don't say like they don't call it out, and I don't blame them. It's an uncomfortable, sad, difficult thing to bring up. Um, and I haven't had that question asked yet of like, "Hey, how many kids do you have, or do you have any kids?" Um, and I've thought about it. Like I played out the scenario in my head a thousand times. Like, how would I answer? Do I say I do? I have two kids up in heaven. Like, but then like, what do you like? Do you say that to like they say it to anybody? Like, you go golfing and you get paired up with somebody. Like, do you say that? Like,
Yeah,
like I don't know.
I had a
It's
doctor's
weird.
appointment not that long ago. With the new doctor, and he goes, "Oh, how many children you have?" And I included him in the total, and that's another thing. Just the doctor asking me the question, like, do I jump in and say, "Well, we lost our youngest son," or not? And you kind of have that urge because you want to include them in everything. You want to be like, yes, and tell that part, about your son. But then you're like, do I do this at a doctor's appointment when he's just asking a question?
Yeah.
And even that, like, even that little question gives you a bit of a wrestling match in your mind,
Yeah.
over something so simple.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, do I just open up and everything? Like, and then as I've said before, like if I don't tell the whole story, I feel like I'm doing them an injustice. Like, but so this random person who I might never see again, do I tell them everything about Reese and Luke? Like it's such a difficult thing, dude. And it's fuck, I wish they were here, man. I wish they were here. Yeah, it's tough. I struggle with like the unknowns, and I know you do too. I don't know what color, my boy's eyes were. I don't know what color their hair is. They were identical, but didn't look identical, unfortunately. You know, what would their voice sound like? Um, when I found out they were twins, I was practicing lifting, two things up at the same time, like, you know, random stuff. And I only got to do that twice in the hospital. So it's tough. I mean, being a dad when your kid isn't here, man, it's it's the worst. It's the absolute worst. Um, and yeah, I mean, even now, like I say this stuff, and I'm like, are they looking down at me, being like, "Why are you saying that? How could you say that?" That's the crazy stuff that you think about in your head.
They
Um,
they know how you feel, right?
yeah, that's they are the absolute best part of me, and I'm incredibly thankful for them. And, I think we talked about this. People say, "Oh, you guys are strong." It's like, no, I'm not strong. I'm here. I don't have I'm here. I don't have a choice. I'm here. The only reason why I'm here though on this podcast with you, and I think why you're here with me, is because of Michael, Reese, and Luke. The strength that they give us, and us wanting to do this in their honor and do some of the other things that we're planning on doing. Yeah, it's because of those boys, and the three of them, man. They are the best, the absolute best. Um, Let me ask you this
Well,
question, because you have. Oh, sorry.
I don't think you're strong, right, guy. I know you are. You're doing great.
Thanks.
You're doing great.
You are too. You are too. I mean, when I think about a strong dad, I think of you. Let me ask you this question. This
Appreciate
one's
that.
probably more geared towards you. Has fatherhood changed at all since Michael? Um,
Yeah, it definitely has. I'm sure this is some of the thoughts I might say here to you are definitely things you think of too. But sitting down for dinner, everybody getting in their chairs. We got Liv and Isabel in theirs, and there should be another seat filled at the table. I think about that every time we sit down for dinner. You had the stuff out at home that you see, and you know, car seat things like that. Um, One thing I definitely think has changed. Not that I wasn't always pretty patient with Isabella, but I feel like I'm really patient with her a lot, because of how grateful I am then to have a young living child. Um, you know, Chris bashes me for how many times I'll go back into her room at night when she's calling for this, calling for that, telling me she's got a question. She doesn't have a question, and I know she doesn't have a question, but I still go in just because she's calling. Um, and I can go in and see her. So uh, it, an even greater appreciation for the great appreciation of things I have definitely came from that. Definitely, like I was always a worrier with this belt. I watch her walk and watch her around this, and I feel like I'm even more of a worrier now because I'm protecting the one little perfect thing that I have living here as a young toddler. Um, so uh, all those things, have definitely I think made me at least better with the mental side of parenting.
it's interesting you bring that up. Like it so made you a better dad.
I think parts, uh, improved. Yeah. Once you really feel what you lost, like, then, the little her that I have, it's like, it's the gold mine. Um, and not that you didn't think that in the first place, but it just that feeling of loss just drives it home 10 times more.
As a outsider, um, I'll say outsider being I'm not in your family. Um,
Close enough.
yeah, very true. Um, I've seen, everything since last year for you guys. Well, not everything, but a lot, right? And when you ask this question, like, what does fatherhood change? For me, you know, if anything, I appreciate good dads more. And you, brother, I mean, everything you've done since that first day that phone call happened, man, and seeing you with Isabella and the things you do for Liv and with Liv, and um, it just makes me so proud to be your friend. I've said that to you personally and privately. I've said it on here before, and I know I'll say it again. You handle every situation, brother, with class and dignity, and I'm just proud of you, man. Like it's you do such a great job, and it's not easy. And I can't put myself in your shoes of like what it was like either coming home and suffering the greatest loss, and then walking in the door and having to be dad again. Like that must be so difficult. And yeah, man, you crush it and keep crushing it.
I appreciate that, right guy. I'm proud of you too. I'm very lucky to have you. Very fortunate to have you.
I just said and something I know me and you've talked about. I mean, um, one thing that is difficult, and people, I won't name names, but there's people in your life that might, complain about something about having a kid or something. And I don't mean any disrespect, but it's like, man, like I would do anything to have those problems. Like
Yeah.
anything. I'd never sleep again. I'd, you know, Teething or something. Like I don't even know because we didn't get anywhere near that. But like, man, any of those problems, like there's nothing to complain about. And that's what with you, like I see it, you know, since Michael, like you never complain. Like you never complain. Everything is, it's what it is. And it's a blessing. And it's sad and it's tough. It's beautiful. And yeah, it's a real thing, man. And yeah, I just think you crush it, dude, at the
I
dad game.
appreciate
So
that. I appreciate
yeah.
that, right guy. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
of course, man.
like you said, people who don't understand and they're going through, night of sleep like that, like you use the word problems, they call them problems. It's not a problem. You know what I mean? It's not a problem.
Yeah. I
No
gotta take
respect
this
for a
one. I
real
gotta
problem.
do something here. I gotta take this one to soccer or, this or that. And it's like, man, like in my head, I live in those dreams, man, where it's like, hey, like Reese has to go here, but Luke has to go there. What are we gonna do? I remember one day Brandy and I joked about you know, what would it be like if Reese and Luke went to different colleges and
Sounds
they
expensive.
graduate? Yeah, would have been the best problem to have.
Yep.
But like you hear people talk about that and you're like, oh yeah, like I don't want to say first world problems, but like that's what it sounds like. And then you suffer this loss and you're like, shit, I would do anything to have that. I would fly from California to Florida if I had to in the same day just to see them to graduate or something, like it's craziness. But yeah, I mean, it's so tough to even say like how has fatherhood changed since loss for me because it's so like I feel like I have like imposter syndrome if that makes any sense, like because I didn't get to enjoy any of the positives of it. I say of it, it's not true because God, I feel so shitty saying this, but Like I have my routines and I do my things with my boys and I love them for it and I love them and miss them dearly. But like, I just don't have them. Like I never changed their diapers. I never pushed a stroller with them in there. I never got to make them laugh. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's where it's just so difficult. So, I appreciate it hearing you say it and hearing other people say it, it's just a tough thing, but yeah, it's a brutal thing. Um we kind of mentioned on it earlier and it is a struggle and this is a struggle for everybody, but how often do you either find yourself like talking about Michael with other people or like, do you bring him up? Like what it,
Yeah. Um, that's that's a tough one, and it definitely varies by, who you're around. If I'm at
yeah,
my mom and dad's, he comes up, every visit we're there, Chris and I daily. Um, and then you and I daily. But then you get to other things, at work and people talking about kids and things like that. And you just get that unsureness again. Like, it's a work conversation, pretty casual. Do I bring this up? You had said before about feeling like you're a rain cloud sometimes when you bring it up and you don't want to do that. Um, I felt in some scenarios, you know, most times, I think, at least with friends and family, um, you know, they they might be okay and wanna know and ask questions, but they might not wanna bring it up, and sometimes, definitely, I think on our end, it's easier to just bring it up and get it out of the way for other people, um, but if I could tell anybody, correct me if I'm wrong here, I would think you would feel the same way. But if they ever brought up, if anybody ever brought up any of the boys and just wanted to talk about them, I'd be more than happy to. Of course, sometimes you might get a little sad or this and that, but um, you know, maybe people might have it in their mind, oh, I don't want to bring it up, I don't want to make them upset or this and that, which definitely understand and appreciate. But if you wanted to just ask, I'd say I'd s I'd say the majority of people would be happy you asked. To me, it means, you were thinking of him, and you wanted to ask how he was doing, like, that's how I interpret that.
yeah, I love talking about them and that's where the struggle comes in. To your point of like how far do I go with who? Because I can and do talk about them as much as I can. Because as I said before, man, the stories and the things that is all that we have. I don't have my two boys here with me, but I have the stories that make me laugh and smile. I have the memories that will never go anywhere. I look for reasons to talk about them, and yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think people don't want to ask because they don't want to cause any pain. It's people who love you and your family and your friends. They don't want to cause any pain. But I said this to you, it- Reese and Luke and Michael. It's the best reason to be sad because it's such a loss. It's such a difficult thing to put into words. I mean, like when you have to bury your children and lose that whole like chapter and a piece of you like dies like when you can get to the point where you're like talking about them and like I don't care if I cry now, man. Like I used to be so worried about that. How are people going to think of me? Like what are they going to do? Like are they going to think I'm this or that? Like are people going to think like how could you miss them this much? Like they weren't even here. Like I had the worst dumbest things ever in my brain. And it took like a lot of talking to like figure that out. Like that, like once that pregnancy test was positive, like your whole world changes and it just compounds with every doctor's visit and every time they tell you everything's okay. And talking about Reese and Luke, like I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I hate that they're not here, but I love, you know, telling people about Blue Jays and anything, how how I feel when the wind blows on my face at nighttime when I'm talking to them, like, and that's them, right? Like, how I feel when I see like a single deer, I think of Michael, or if I see 3 deers, I think of our boys, right? I love those stories, man, and so, yeah, I will look for any reason to do it, and I do, I feel bad sometimes, and I apologize to people like, "Hey, I'm sorry if this is a bummer," and I gotta say the people in my life, have been incredibly supportive of it, and I hope everybody has that, but I know it's a difficult thing because child loss is not something that most people can understand. It's an uncomfortable, sad, devastating, tragic thing that just like it's there, but you don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah, then you feel awkward if you don't sometimes. It's just such a
yeah,
double-edged sword. It's oddly fine line to try and, tiptoe. I know
yeah,
you and I both, at the towards the beginning of our loss, even with checking in with each other, it was like, "Okay, I called him, he didn't answer. It's, now 9 at night. Do I call again and talk to him? Do I not wanna push if he's upset?" It's just like, everything about it, sometimes can feel like, very unsurely awkward and delicate. Like, do I do it? Do I don't? And there's positive and negatives on both sides. Um, and it's, uh, it's a tough ship to navigate sometimes.
yeah. I mean, dude, I didn't talk to anybody. Like, I disappeared for weeks. Um, you know, we touched on it in the last episode, like you're taking care of your wife, whatever you can do to be supportive, like that's where you're locked in on. And then then you start to come back in and it's like it's so overwhelming. Like the real world, like if you're a dad or a mom listening is lost, like exactly what I'm talking about. Like your world stopped and everything else kept moving. And then eventually at some point, for me, it was when we got them back from the autopsy, like that I felt like that was a month after everything happened. Like that was when I felt like at least I could like have conversations with people who I haven't talked to besides you. Um, like some work people and some like different family members and stuff. But yeah, I mean that was like a month. I just like went off the grid, and I mean honestly, like it's crazy. Was there anything during that period, maybe Mike, like anything you and Chris did? Because Brandon and I did something and it's so crazy, but I talk about it all the time. Like anything, was there a show that you guys watched or like anything like that you would do like to just get through the day, like pass the time, play with
Um,
Isabella, anything like
yeah, we were very lucky with having Isabella. You know, sh reason to get up in the morning, even if you didn't want to, which we didn't, we had to. So we had her, keeping us busy. You know, if I'm gonna be honest with you, for the first at least couple of weeks, uh, if once we got Isabella to bed, we did not do much. Sat on the couch, drank. We weren't taking great care of ourselves. And if we did one thing routinely is, um, we burned a hole in the Tom Petty record, listening to "All Right for Now," the song for him. Those first couple weeks, how tough they are, just how shocked we were finding out on his due date that where everything was fine the night before that we lost him. We honestly did not do much of anything. Um, we didn't watch any shows. Any attempt to distract ourselves wasn't wasn't going too well. But we listened to this song over and over and over again. How about for you guys? What was
Brandon and I don't even know, maybe a week in or 2 weeks in, you know. started watching this one show, Traders, like a reality TV show. And yeah, honestly, like we just watched it. Like I don't even know how or why. And we would be so conflicted with it. Like, you feel guilty. Like you're watching this show. How the hell can you watch this show? Like you just lost your kids. But we got pretty into it, and traders turned into Survivor and then became like crazy Survivor people, which is nuts because I never would have thought that would be us at any point in our lives. But yeah, those two were what we did like on a daily basis, just watching Survivor. And there's like 50 seasons of Survivor, so we watched a lot of Survivor.
Right.
Um,
That's
yeah,
a healthy distraction, though. I mean, there's a
yeah.
lot
You
worse
know
things
what
you
it's
could have
like.
been doing.
Yeah, you know what it's like. Like you do something and then, you got to
Yeah,
get into the feelings right away and dig into them whenever it pops up. So,
yeah,
it'd be a lot of playing and pausing, playing, pausing, playing, pausing.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a crazy thing, man. It's sorry if that took a whirlwind back. We probably should have talked about that in our follow up episode on coming home and those first few days and weeks, which I know we talked about last episode, but moving forward, we're gonna circle back on that. Getting back to you know being a dad when your kid isn't here. Um, you mentioned some routines, with Michael, and I know in the past we talked about the tree, um, and obviously the Tom Petty song. Anything else you have, or anything maybe that you haven't mentioned, or
So we've been lately Isabel's been talking about him nonstop. Like I was looking out the sliding glass door window at the tree the other day and she came up next to me and she just goes, I'm sad because I miss baby brother. And even though she doesn't understand, I feel like she could tell when we're feeling that way in this like crazy odd way. And then she says something like that. Um, so routine her and I have been doing on the weekends. Um, we've been bringing some snacks, drink, and she likes to go have a picnic with them at the cemetery. She'll sit down and talk to them. I think I talked on the first Father's Day episode. She had shared her pretzel. Uh, she left a piece of pretzel with them one of the last times we were there, and we went back last weekend, and she ran over and she goes, "Did he eat his pretzel?" And it was gone from like the deer or something like that. And she was like, "He did," and she was super excited. So knowing that they'll never, you know, see each other like that. Seeing her excited to go have a picnic with them, um, you know, go talk to him, go leave him pretzels, go tell him whatever. Uh, Getting to see the closest thing they'll have to interacting with each other has become a big part of my routine with her, and we've been having a lot of picnics lately.
that's beautiful to like share something with Michael and Isabella.
It feels very not like sitting there just knowing he's there, seeing her, happy to tell him something. Like again, she doesn't get it, but she gets something. There's something she knows. It's you know nice to see.
Yeah, that's beautiful, dude. Do you when you're in the car, you like talk to Michael or anything, or
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
yeah,
I do.
me too.
Yeah. Um, I always try and have a little bit of quiet time on the way to work. Talk to him. Um, even think like am I being the dad? Am I being the person that he'd be proud to see what if he saw me doing what I did this week? How how would he view me? And that's a whole other conversation. I feel like we could get into, but probably stick on that here for a little bit. I think a lot about that. Um, I usually, before with work, I would pass the cemetery every day on the drive home, and a lot of times I can't stop because I'm getting home because Chris is about to leave for work. So, got to get home right away. And at least just, take the time, music off, nothing, but when I'm driving by there, just say a couple words to him, tell him how much I love and miss him, and try and send as much love as I can on the way by.
You said the number one thing for me, and it's, I'm, like, obsessed with it, them being proud of me, and, yeah, that's something that just plays in my brain, like, all the time now, like, man, you know, I was such a different person, before we lost them. Uh, I never thought I was wrong. I always thought I was, like I could had it figured out, or I was correct. Not that I didn't think I was wrong, but like I knew the like I'm what I'm doing is I know it's the right answer. I know it's the this or that. Um, Now everything, like, you question things and you're like, man, like I just it feels like it's like a fundamental change in you. Like I things I used to care about, I don't care about. 1/1000th of what I used to. Yeah, I used to have a long drive, like, a couple times a month, and, I used to be on the phone or on listen to podcasts and stuff, and now, I haven't done it much since, only a handful of times, but, I wouldn't listen to anything, man. Just silence and, driving, focusing on the road, but also when I had the chance, if I was stuck in traffic, man, looking up at the cloud and seeing if I could see a different cloud that would remind me of them or something, imagining something in there. Um, you were talking about a routine, and that's, I mentioned the stars earlier, and, when I get done this, I'll go out back and I'll pray, I'll talk to the stars and pray. And, when I say talk to the stars, like one night, night we came home and, you know, from the hospital, and we're looking, and there's these two stars that are just like perfectly aligned, like in a straight line. And we're like, that's crazy. Like, like what are the chances these two stars are perfectly aligned? And one night I took a picture, chat GPT'd it, and they're twin stars. So it's
Crazy.
like what are the chances? And I don't know how, again, not a smart guy. Like I don't know how everything works. If you're gonna be able to see them wherever you are, I don't know. I know they move now. Like I'm still trying to figure out Earth and space and all that stuff. But like I know, like, I'll go outside, and if I look, a certain way, like I'm gonna see those two stars as long as it's a clear night. And yeah, I see them, and that's Reese and Luke, man. And yeah, it's I picked up my grandmom this week from like a doctor's office, and I hadn't seen her in a long time. And I said something to her, and I was like, I feel them everywhere. Like no matter where it is, I will look, I'll find them. Like, it doesn't have to be just a blue jay. It doesn't have to be doesn't have to be anything specific that we've talked about, or it could be the most random thing. And she was like, "You do?" And I said, "I do." She was like, "That's really, really nice." And I was like, "Yeah, it's, that's what we have, man. Go finding them in every way you can." So,
I
um,
remember, when we came over to see you guys when you got home from the hospital. I forget what basketball game was on, and I don't know if you'll remember this then, but, it was 115 to 115 tied up,
yeah, yeah,
January 15th, like,
yep, yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Yeah, 2 double numbers and, 115. Yeah, it just nuts. Yeah, it's all those little signs. I know there were some football games that, like, were going into, like, overtimes, or like, "Oh, going to double overtime," like,
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just the little things, like, I don't wanna say, like, I'm like, "Oh, I'm looking for," like, you know, like, "There's 2 tissues over there," like, that's them, like, but, like, I don't know, it's things like that that, like, we go and, like, we
Yeah,
try and find. And you find like some solace, some comfort in that, knowing like, hey, like,
yeah.
that's them, and they're there. So, um, I guess like, the last question of this, like, what does being a father mean now? Like, you said it's made you be a better dad, to Isabella. And for you right now, like, what does it mean?
Well, one thing you had said earlier, when you found out you guys were pregnant, like that was the only thing that mattered. Um, and I can remember having a conversation with my mom even before this happened. We were talking about Isabella, and I was like, we were just watching her play. We were at the Chamonix Creek Brewery, and she was playing with some other kids, just watching her. And I was like, I just told my mom, I was like, yeah, I get it now. I understand, the whole parenting feeling and the love for your children. But I think it's important to note, like you said, that that starts, the moment, they're here in any shape or form. The moment you find out you're pregnant. Um, we had very few chances to be a father to our boys, physically. Um, I know one thing, and it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. He was just born. The nurse said, we're gonna give him a bath, and then I'm just sitting there, and she handed me the washcloth, and I was just stunned in a way I'd never been stunned before, and I had to give my son, who we just lost, you know, hours ago, a bath, and it was so difficult, but I wanted to do it perfect. I wanted to make sure he's all cleaned up, in the best way possible, do everything perfect for him, um, do everything right, and the time we spent with him, like, you know, you know, when it comes to you've been spending all day with them, doing the things we talked about before we did with them, and then you got to go to sleep in the hospital that night. And looking back, like I felt like was I giving up time by going to sleep? Should I stayed up just all fucking night? Um, really, in reality, who knows if that helps or not? I'd have felt the same way I do now. You everybody was just through a lot. We really, especially the girls, they needed the rest. Um, but you know, for being a father to him, what it means now is just reminding him how much I love him every day. And if there was anything in the world I could have done to save him, I would have. Um, and then circling back to like what we said is making sure that what we do, they're looking down and are proud of it.
Dude, I
And
couldn't answer that question better because it's everything the same exact way. You saying the God, I forgot. I like cried. Like I was so tired and I was crying because I just like, how do I go to sleep?
yeah,
Like, we got to leave here tomorrow. How do I give up this time? And I mean, you said it in an episode previously. Like, how do you fit a lifetime into 36 hours? And I just remember like being so tired and them being right there and just being so upset and saying like, I'm sorry, I have to close my eyes. Like, I'm sorry.
yeah,
And dude, I forgot that, man. Um, but yeah, you're absolutely right, dude. It's every day now. And this podcast has been so helpful. Like, it's so helpful. Because I do feel like we're doing this to honor the boys and to help ourselves and be better men and dads and husbands. And I genuinely believe that. I know it's only been 4 episodes. But I feel better than a month ago when we started this. Um, but what can I do every day to honor them, to show them I love them and how much I miss them and make them proud. Like that's it. And dad's still here is like such a huge piece of this now. And it's been great for me and great for you, I think, and
absolutely,
hopefully good for other people.
yeah, absolutely.
And I know that I know they're proud of that, and it's doing everything else that I want them to make sure they're proud of me for. Showing up every day and trying to be present and finding time to talk to them and think of them and just constantly remind them like I love you, I miss you, and I need you. That's it, man. That's what it is to me. So it's
Yeah,
been
that's a great answer, right, guy, and they're very proud of you. I'm proud of you. You're a good dad.
yeah. You are a good dad too, brother. And if you're listening to this and you're like us, you're a good dad too. You
Amen.
don't have to have all the answers. You don't. There's no playbook for this. It's shitty and it's difficult. Just know you got other people out there. If you're like Mike and I, and you know uncomfortable with it and trying to persevere and trying to do stuff, um, you know, it's okay, man. And message us, follow us, watch it. I think I don't know if you want to do a teaser, Mike, but I think eventually at some point soon we might be having some dads come on.
Yeah, that's gonna be the plan. Like Rod talked about here, certain questions here. We had different perspectives, different situations we're in that aren't the same, and there's way more uh there's way more different situations even out there too than we could probably list out. But a lot of different stories, a lot of different variables.
And so the idea is to have them come on and tell their story, their partner's story, their child's story, and just an open ended. I mean, and we're not going to provide some clinical, advice or anything. Like we're idiots, but just to let them know, like, hey, it's okay, man. Like
Yeah.
it's okay to be sad. It's okay to you know, take some time and figure your shit out. For
Yeah.
some people, that is a week or a month. That doesn't mean, or some people it's a year. It doesn't mean you're strong or weak. It just means like you went through something serious. It took somebody telling me like you went through some real serious shit to be like, yeah. And then, like it's all sucks. And Mike said it earlier, like the second that test is positive, your brain's forward. Like you're not thinking of this could go wrong or this or that or you're all in on the future. And then when you lose that at any point, a month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, like it's devastating. Um, so don't think just because I'm not stillbirth. No, you matter. More importantly, your child matters, man. And we want to hear it. We want to give people an opportunity to share it. We want to learn from it, and I think that makes us better people in general. And if that's something we can do, I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
So
Be nice to, if another dad wanting to get his child's story out, just to speak it out. I know that was a learning exercise. I remember going to a grief meeting at St. Ephraim's with my mom, maybe, I don't know, a month after. And, we've told friends, told family. Um, and then they wanted everyone to go around and tell the story. And, my mom did have a very difficult time uh, with emotions, with telling the story. And I do think that that's part of, for lack of better words, like, an exercise and grieving is, telling that story over and over.
yeah, it's not. There's no timeline on grief from what I've learned.
Yeah.
Um, it's. I think people think like, oh, it gets smaller. It doesn't. It doesn't. It still sucks. It sucks just as much today as it did a couple months ago. And I did one call with Sad Dads Club, and there was a guy. I think his name was Dave from Sandusky, Ohio, and he lost his twin daughters like 53 years ago. And like when I heard him say that, man, my heart like just dropped. Like, what a beautiful tribute that this guy's 53 years later, still talking about his daughters and what happened to him. And, it's just, it's like yeah, losing your kid's a life sentence. It's something that it doesn't go away. It doesn't magically just disappear. So, you know, having some type of avenue out there where you can talk about it and know that there's other guys. And I think, me and you talked about we're gonna host some stuff and have some other dads come and hang out. One day we're looking forward to that. So we'd be open to having any other dads there for that. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think
looking
we got
forward
a
to it.
lot of really good ideas, yeah, that we're excited to kind of do. And you know, um, if there's anybody out there that needs it, let us know. I mean, we just want to
Yeah.
try and be as helpful as we can. Um, so
Even just somebody to talk to,
that's it, man. Right?
Yeah,
That's it. Um, well, listen, I mean, we got open mic now. So if you
yeah.
got anything off the top of your head, anything good happened this week, anything that makes you laugh, make you smile?
Uh, Pretty routine week. Yeah, I told the story going back to the cemetery for the pretzel. That was a big one. One thing just now that we're finished, our talking points, I had brought up about this, having to go to sleep in the hospital. And then, you said I forgot about that. What's been, you know, I'll call it good as we talk about this because as you go through everything, it's such a whirlwind of emotions and details and this and that. And not that you forget about things, but maybe you're holding on different things more closely than others. And then sometimes, things you've said that I'm like, oh, I remember how tough or bad this part was too. It's just um it's been good and helpful to get those, memories kind of back and think about some of the things like that. You might have pushed more towards the back of the mind a little bit. So
It's so true. It's so true. Like
that's been
you say stuff and like I go backwards, like because it just catches you, like
yeah,
and takes your breath away when you remember. Like it's some of the things you've said and done, or said and shared on the podcast, like literally just kick me backwards because it's like it's so true. You hold these things close, or maybe you focus in on some other things, and so you don't forget. But like there's other things at the front of your mind. And I know like when we hang up this, we're gonna talk about how, oh, there was like 6 other things that like we could
yeah,
have talked about or should have
yeah,
went down this way. And I
yeah,
mean, that's just like, yeah, that's
yeah,
the part of it. That's why I know sad that or dad's still here is gonna be still here for a long time. Because we didn't have a lot of time, but we got a lot of memories, we got a lot of things to talk about, and we got a lot of people that, I think wanna hop on and wanna be a part of this. And yeah,
yeah.
my,
And
like, thing that
I didn't mean to
sorry.
run it back into the talking points with that, but you uh, that just came up and made me think. That's something I didn't expect to be a result of it. It's not one of those things when we talked about doing this. I thought would be, uh, this will come from that, that'll come from that. But getting a couple of memories back, I just wanted to bring that up. But how about you? Your week,
This
your
this can
thoughts now?
this can go this can go anywhere. Like, yeah, we have an outline, but, like, that's it. It's we
Yeah,
don't know what we're doing. So, literally, when we came up with this idea, like, our both of our wives were like, and like, "Yeah, this makes sense. You guys are perfect together and you could talk." So, the outline is, like, just to help us move things along and not just be rambling thoughts, especially for me. Um, but no, this can go anywhere. So there's no Mike, you take it wherever you want to go, brother.
all
You
right.
got the wheel.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all I
eh,
had for that. How
and
about
that's
you?
for, I mean, for anybody listening or watching, or if you want to be a part of it, like this can go wherever you want it to go. Um, we're happy for the ride because it's an important ride to be a part of. For me, this week, just a lot of we talked about it earlier, and just the support and the different perspectives. I mean, hearing that it's helping people have uncomfortable conversations, like other lost parents, have some conversations. Hearing that people have said, like somebody said to me, it's okay to be sad, and it's like, shit, man, like this is working. Like this
Yeah.
is something, you know, it's a difficult topic and it's a difficult subject. But this is something that is like it's worth it, and I'm proud of it. And I have to give a shout out to just all of our friends that have texted
Amen.
and
Yeah.
reached out and said stuff. I mean, it's been great, and not all of them are lost parents. But for them to take the time to listen and pay attention, and man, that means the world. One
Mhm.
person texted me, Karen, texted me when we were talking about her, and she said what we know is true. The sadness and the everything in her voice, man, is because she loved our kids when she found out, man. And so if I can end on just all the support and all the love that exists for Michael and Reese and Luke, man, that's the best part of my week. And yeah, we'll continue to be. So with that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Please make sure you're following along on all of our social medias. If there's a dad in your life, please share with them. We want to hear from them. We want to do whatever we can do to be helpful. Um, Appreciate you so much. You want to sign off, Mike,
Yeah. Thank you, anybody who listened. Rye, thanks for all your sharing tonight. And just remember, we did it for the boys.
or the boys?
All
See
right,
you,
brother.
brother.
See ya.